Live from Wayne Profit Court, you're watching men's college basketball on LHSN as the University of Lynchburg Hornets play host to the Ferrum Panthers. Set to be a fun night in Lynchburg. Thanks for joining us on your Thursday evening. TJ Winger alongside Thomas Murphy. Well, first off, Thomas, welcome to the broadcast booth.
Thank you.
And secondly, when reviewing for this game, as we show some of the stats coming into this contest, what were some of the big keys that you saw jump off the page and think could be a big factor tonight?
Well, TJ, the biggest factors that I could see is that the Ferrum Panthers have been living and dying by the three-pointer this season. They lead the conference with 551 three-pointers attempted, but they're also letting the highest percentage of three-pointers go in against opponents, which is 37.1% from the three.
That's living and dying in a different way of meaning it. They knock it down at a good clip, but what good is the three if you're going to give it right back? On the other side, what do you think some of the factors for Lynchburg tonight could be?
Well, Lynchburg's really going to have to hone in on the size mismatches. T.C. Thacker, who's our center, is one of the biggest monsters in the paint. In fact, in the ODAC semis, he had 23 and 26, so he can score inside the paint and grab those boards. And really, if the Lynchburg Hornets can shoot a higher percentage than the Ferrum Panthers and really hone in on those size mismatches, this game should be an easy win for the Hornets.
And it should be Michael Spraggins, at least how we look at it right now, with the task of trying to slow down Thacker. Obviously, easier said than done. A lot of talent to talk about with both sides. Let's talk about our players to watch. For Ferrum, double zeros, James Smith Jr., a senior from Halifax, Virginia. He's reached double figures in 3 of the last 4, all told in the season, averaging 14.1 points per game, and another excellent three-point shooter, 36.7% from beyond the arc. And on the other side, we talked about him a moment ago, T.C. Thacker. How about this nugget? 14 double-doubles on the year. That's not just first in the ODAC. How about number 2 in the entire country? 3 double-doubles in a row, 6 in his last 7 games played. Thacker's been on a tear, simply put. And for the coaches, in his 5th year at the helm, it's Tyler Sanborn, former National Player of the Year in 2010 at Guilford. He was also an assistant coach there once upon a time, looking for win number 3 in his tenure against Lynchburg. And on the other bench is Coach Hillary Scott in his 14th year as the head coach, 5-1 so far this season. The Hornets been playing good all year, but especially at home. Going to be a fun battle between Ferrum and Lynchburg. Hope to have you stick with us. We're going to take a quick pause as the national anthem is just a moments away. When we come back, we'll bring to you starters and tip-off between the Hornets and the Panthers on LHSN.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities, learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the Athletic Training Laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia. Time to introduce the starting lineups for both sides. For Ferrum, it's our player to watch, James Smith. Jamar Butler making his third consecutive start. In the last two starts, 30 minutes, then 32 minutes each, setting season bests. Then it's Hunter Ladler Jr. from Chesapeake, Virginia. Michael Spraggins, we talked about him a little bit in the open. Ideally the person with the task of trying to slow down TC Thacker. And then there's Bryce Hall. Starters for Lynchburg, a little different than what you might see on your screen there, as it's Theron Suggs, Izzy Lockamy, Kavon James, Carrington Young, and T.C. Thacker. So the name missing there is Thacker. He's in the starting lineup instead of Dow Dunton. Apologies for a little bit of confusion there, but a name to spotlight there. Kavon James, 4 consecutive starts. And you talk about the last game for Lynchburg. It was a roller coaster of emotions against Hampton-Sydney. A cold shooting first half for Lynchburg, and then it was Kavon James, and then eventually Alex Fitch really picking up the three-point shooting in the second half of that game. So James has the ability to stretch the floor, and clearly his work that he's put in practice with Cam Savage not playing tonight has earned him a spot for the 4th time in a row in the starting lineup.
Oh, absolutely. And really, three-point shooting was a big struggle for the Lynchburg Hornets last game, but they really showed up in the second half, especially with Alex Fitch shooting 5 for 10 from the three-point line. It was absolutely insane numbers. He's been shooting great as of late, and hopefully he can continue that today.
And when you talk about Fitch, 2 games with more than 10 points. How about 20 against Bridgewater, and then 19 in 19 minutes against Hampton-Sydney? I.e., guy can shoot it.
He's efficient.
Exactly, and it's him or Parham. In a lot of ways, when one's hot, you won't see a whole lot of the other, and then it's the other way around. If Parham's cold, you'll see more Fitch. That was the case just the other night against Hampton-Sydney on a Code Red game. Meanwhile, the recent stretch for Ferrum hasn't been too kind. They've lost 8 in a row, and all told, 13 of their last 14. And it's a little uncanny. This is a team that had a record over 500, both overall and in conference, each of the last 2 seasons. And now in his 5th year as a head coach, Tyler Sanborn, a little bit of a proverbial bump in the road, so to speak. And this is one of those things where you have a younger roster, gotta have to learn some of these lessons as you go along. And also, we have to talk about a different storyline. Carrington Young, he actually just went over and dapped up Coach Sanborn and talked to some of his former teammates. He's a grad transfer to the University of Lynchburg, of course, coming from Ferrum College. And you talked about in the open that ODAC semifinals match between these two teams. Lynchburg won. In the starting 5 on the other side was Carrington Young in the starting lineup for the Panthers. So a little bit of a different look for Carrington tonight.
Yeah, and it's definitely got to be something special to come back to the court that he was playing at before with the teammates and everything. So it's definitely a cool experience to, play against guys that you played with before. You bonded as a team, and now you get to show them, hey, I've grown as a player. Time for me to show you what I got, something that you guys haven't seen before.
And maybe a little insider baseball as well, knowing some of the inner workings of that Ferrum side. But both players at center court, we're ready to get things underway. It's Thacker standing juxtaposed to Michael Spraggins. Tip is up, and it's James finding Suggs to give Lynchburg the opening possession on the night. Suggs only had 4 points on Tuesday, but of course, the 2 biggest ones, the game winner to put Lynchburg ahead. And how about this? Going back to that game against Tuesday, the Hornets had a lead for 37 seconds in that game and won. Wow. One of the most improbable basketball stats you can see, but tonight it's the Panthers striking first, and it's our player to watch, James Smith, Jr. breaking the ice.
They definitely showed up last game, and their momentum that they took going into that 4th quarter allowed them, even though they only held that lead for a couple seconds, it was the most meaningful seconds of that game, and really you can show that momentum can change the outcome of any game.
James strong on his first shot of the day. Offensive rebound and a putback bucket for Carrington Young. The former Panther opens the scoring today for Lynchburg.
And that was just a great hustle play. He didn't give up on it, went right for it, and put it right in the hoop. Love to see it.
Smith blocked by Thacker. Second chance. Spraggins from downtown, and that'll be an interesting matchup when you have a big who can stretch the floor like that. It takes Thacker out of the paint. He's a good shot blocker. Maybe a bit of an advantage there that Ferrum can play off of.
Yeah, and they got to make sure that they get the switches onto the guys who are shooting those threes, because if you don't switch, that's just going to be open season. And, leading the conference with 3-pointers attempted, they're going to shoot. They're not going to hesitate.
And it's interesting, when you look at that, not only have they taken a lot, 551 attempts before tonight, they shoot at a pretty good clip. 32.7%, given that much quantity, is a pretty healthy place to find yourself at. Long 2 for Suggs. It won't count. Offensive foul goes against Thacker. Panthers take over possession, already up by 3. All time, this is the 25th matchup between Ferrum and Lynchburg. Advantage goes to the Hornets. They're 13-11 all time against the Panthers. But these two teams have alternated wins and losses over the last 5. Lynchburg won the most recent in the ODAC semi. So if you believe in trends, advantage Panthers. Lynchburg obviously looking to bring an end to that stretch. Lackamy for 3 off the side of the iron. Loose ball gathered by Bryce Hall.
Might have had a little too much space on that three-point attempt. I think he didn't really get his feet set, but going forward, he's got to make sure that he's taking his time. This team, they let the opponent shoot the 3-ball and at a pretty high percentage, so he's just got to get more comfortable behind that 3-point line, start knocking them down.
Suggs drive kick. James this time hoisting up the 3, in and out. And again, against Hampton Sydney, it was a 2 for 18 3-point mark at the end of the first half. That turned around a lot in the second half. If you missed that broadcast, I'm sorry. You missed a fun game. Lynchburg down by 14 at the half, end up winning by 3. And who doesn't love a good comeback? And another 3-point shot goes down. Michael Spraggins already with 6, all from beyond the arc. Kick from Suggs. Lackamy 0 for 2. So once again, a cold start from beyond the 3-point line. Ferrum 2 for 3. Lynchburg 0 for 3. It's a good look for Smith. Unable to convert with the right hand. Suggs lost it. Smith picks it up.
I got the sense that Lynchburg's trying to rush the ball up the court a little too fast, and they're not letting their plays develop. They're not letting the guys get open. They're just rushing it, and I think that might be working against them right now. Hopefully they can fix that.
And it's a tough line to walk as the up and under goes through. 10-2 start to the game. Ferrum with the 8-point advantage. Timeout on the floor. 16-31. It's only a 30-second timeout, so we will keep it here. But it's one of those things where it's a tough balance to walk if you're a basketball player. You want to play up-tempo. You want to get up and down the court. That's a more fun style to play.
Absolutely.
But you can't play up-tempo if you're going to play chaotic, right? And you have to find that happy medium between playing with your pace but also being able to avoid turnovers, knock down open shots, things of that nature.
Exactly. You got to have power of purpose. You got to just make sure that if you're going to do something, you commit, but you commit to the plan and to where it's not just crazy and you're just kind of going off script. You got to make sure that you're sticking with it and making sure every guy on your team is poised to pretty much be in the best position they can to score.
Out of the timeout, Hornets looking to claw their way back, down by 8. And in the early goings of the season, Lynchburg was prone to hot starts, got out to a big lead in games against CNU. Just for one example, that was in the home opener for the Hornets back in November. But over the past couple of contests against EMU 2 weekends ago, Hampton Sydney on Tuesday, and now again today, falling behind. And same thing for Roanoke, down 11-0 to open up that game and an eventual loss to the Maroons. Pass to Lackamy tipped. The grad from Wake Forest, North Carolina, gathers either way and makes it a 2-possession difference, 10-4, Ferrum in front.
And that was a great explosive layup. He made sure that he used that power to get right into the hoop, and 2 points.
Jump ball's called. Alternating possession will have it stay with the Panthers. A sub on. Taquan Drummond checks in for the first time tonight. A senior from Newport News. You see Carrington Young. He was a player for the Hornets getting hands on the basketball. Here's that play one more time.
Oh, excuse me. Carrington Young is really playing with a lot of intensity this game, and you can see that his energy seems to be radiating throughout the team. And they're playing at a pretty high tempo for the beginning of the game. Let's hope that he can keep that energy and the team can start kind of following suit.
Nice finish for Drummond, but to your point, Thomas, that's exactly, if people who have been listening to these LHSN broadcasts, they know I describe Young as a spark player, an energy boost to the squad as Suggs in and out on his 3-point attempt. And even with the rest of his box score, kind of adds up to that. Young averages less than 4 points a game, but how about almost 2 assists per contest and north of 5 rebounds? He does some of the less glamorous aspects of the basketball game, and unselfishly, more often than not,
you gotta have a guy
makes that extra pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll say it went off the foot of Drummond. Lynchburg takes over, 14:59 to go in the first half, and Jordan Parham checking in for Kevon James. It was a tough day on Tuesday for Parham. 14 minutes, fewest that he had played in 8 games. But again, if he gets out to a cold start, you'll see Coach Scott bring out Alex Fitch pretty quickly and try to find that presence beyond the three-point line. This time it's Parham dumping it down to Thacker, being defended by Hunter Ladler. That's 6'6" on 6'2". Parham finds Young. Whistle blown. It's going to go against Ferrum. Bryce Hall, the guilty party. First foul to go against Ferrum. And they'll say it was in the act of shooting for Thacker. Take another look at the play. You saw it for a moment. Hall from the backside. Tugging on Thacker, so TC Thacker to the free throw line. Second of the ODAC in free throw percentage. Knocks down the first. And you talked about it in the open, Thomas. 23 points, 26 rebounds in the ODAC semis last year.
Crazy.
Straight out of 2K. I mean, that's just unfathomable. But that's the type of production, more often than not, it seems that Thacker tallies up. And again, 14 double-doubles through 18 games. Yeah.
That's efficiency right there.
Guy could do it all. Drummond called for the travel. Just the second turnover so far for Ferrum. First pass again goes to Parham. This time he lines up the three, misses strong. Shortest player on the floor gets the offensive rebound, but Lockme also steps on the baseline, conceding possession to Ferrum. And now we'll see Alex Fitch check in, coming off those 19 points against the Tigers on Tuesday. And one more sub, checking in a little late. Dow Dutton subs in for TC Thacker. See Fitch. Junior from Ashburn, Virginia. Shooting nearly 39% from three-point land this season. Smith finds Hall, sets a screen. Hall drives in, called for the charge.
Stop doing the little things, getting the body in the way. Can't ask for more than that, you know. On the defensive end, if you're not going to make a defensive play, let the other guy lose control, run into you. That's really just as good as a steal.
The charge sends us to our under 14-minute media timeout. We'll step aside and come back with more between Lynchburg and Ferrum on LHSN. Well, 5-year score at Wayne Prophet Court. You see Coach Tyler Sanborn in the huddle working with his squad, up by 7. And Coach Sanborn also spent 5 years at Hampton-Sydney, talking about that recent battle between Lynchburg and HSC on Tuesday. Sanborn, before taking the job at Ferrum, was the assistant head coach at Hampton-Sydney, and then also played at Guilford. Went 104-19 as a player, back-to-back trips to the Final Four in 2009, 2010, 2010. He's the National Player of the Year, and also in 2010, got an invite and played with the Lakers Summer League. Different job for him today. Suggs. And he's had a tough time shooting the basketball of late. Over the last 2 games, he's gone 4 for 21, 0 for 5 from 3. Which is about the most uncharacteristic stat line you could put for Theron Suggs. Nice play from Parham, keeping that basketball in. And it allows Lynchburg to have this possession, nearly a turnover. Young working against Smith.
Oh, great rebound by Dow.
Dow Dutton has a knack for putting himself in the right spot. Suggs enters the scoring column from way downtown.
And that got Suggs hyped up. You can tell. He's got a little bit of energy.
His first three-point shot to fall since a win at Randolph on January 26th. Floater, no good. Shot coming from Aiden Campbell. Loose ball. Drummond couldn't keep it in. 4-point differential. And checking back in, Michael Spraggins, who at this point has half of Ferrum's points. And all 6 coming from beyond the arc. Floor stretching big, back on the floor. Suggs wide open for 3, off the side of the iron. Rebound to the aforementioned Spraggins.
Ooh, could have been a travel right there. No call.
Instead, Gamble takes the 3, and as it hops and sinks through the net, whistle comes out and saying it went off the top of the backboard. So despite the shot falling through, no points to show for it for Ferrum. Miles Taylor subs in for the Hornets. Ferrum drives to the free throw line, fading away, sinks it through, and we have a 2-point contest. Whistle blown. And it looks like an official timeout, allowing Ferrum to bring on subs. Also, James Smith Jr., our Ferrum player to watch, coming up a little lame after that play. Tonight's officials, by the way, Chase Vadden, Gray Stepp, and Blaine Hancock. Lynchburg at one point trailed 10-2. Ferrum turns it over, and now the Hornets have a chance to tie it. The shot inside the arc or a pair of free throws, or potentially take the lead. And if the Hornets do knock down a 3-point shot, to be their first lead in the contest. Taylor misses strong. Spraggins, hands off. Jamar Butler had to loft it high off the backboard in transition. Taylor Parham denied.
That is a hustle defensive play right there. Did not give up on it, was not going to let anything easy go into that basket.
Aiden Gamble making a play to save a potential tied contest with that block. Here it is once more from the baseline. Timed it perfectly, found the basketball, and denies Parham. Great play coming from the freshman, looking for help and finding it. Drummond comes to assist Jaden Turner, another freshman hailing from Hickory, North Carolina. Drummond fouled on the way up. Call goes against Miles Taylor. They're going to say foul was called before the act of shooting. It'll be an inbound in a moment for Ferrum, but first, Noah Bullock subs in for the first time tonight, and TC Thacker re-enters the contest. Inbounder on your screen is Aiden Gamble. We just saw make that stellar defensive play a moment ago. Turner in the corner. Drive, kick. Drummond thought about the 3. Instead, inside the restricted circle. Tough shot, won't get it to fall. Taylor on Turner, high off the glass.
Good shot.
And from the square, it sinks through, and we're knotted up for the first time since the opening tip.
And you can see that Lynchburg's really playing with a lot more intensity on the defensive end and the offensive end. You know, as long as they're getting there and they're going to start putting the ball in the hoop and stopping the other team from getting theirs in, I mean, you really can't ask for much more, just kind of a little too late.
Nice finish for Butler. Timeout on the floor. It's a 30-second timeout. We'll keep it here. Last time out gave you the resume for Coach Sanborn, and maybe if you're new to these broadcasts, we'll show you the Butler bucket once again. But Coach Hillary Scott, former assistant coach at Penn State, was there from 2003 to 2008. Then was hired by Lynchburg. He's been here for the last 14 years. Also, former assistant coach at East Tennessee State University. And it's also fun, both these coaches, former players inside the ODAC. For Coach Sanborn, it was at Guilford. And for Coach Scott, it was at Roanoke, two-time All-American. Both fantastic players and have had, obviously, ups and downs as coaches. But right now, Coach Scott has his Lynchburg squad double the amount of wins compared to losses, and currently 4th in the ODAC standings. On the other side, Ferrum last in the ODAC, 0-10 in conference play. But preseason poll, number 7, so certainly a surprise across the league.
And I always think it's a really great thing for coaches who were former players to give that insight into how they played during their time and, you know, kind of giving that back to their teammates now to say, hey, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. Just making the game a lot more insightful into kind of seeing, like, you know, how the game can progress, how as a player you can progress, and as a coach I can learn.
That and the ability to empathize with a student who has a full class load on their plate. And
absolutely.
Extracurriculars, of course, and applying to jobs, internships, et cetera, et cetera. The ability to relate there comes in handy. How about the third 3-ball to go for Michael Spraggins? He's got a game-high 9. Fitch looking to answer. Strong on this attempt. Ferrum ahead by 3. This time Spraggins drives.
Ooh,
floater. In and out. Tough break for a shooter. Euro from Taylor. Block on the floor.
That was a good call.
Looked like Spraggins was shuffling his feet trying to get back against Taylor. 9:18 to go in the first half. Miles Taylor now steps to the free throw line. Taylor, a sophomore from Jamestown, North Carolina. Ready for his first free throw attempt on the evening and knocks it through. So far this year, Taylor, 14.3% free throw shooter, obviously on a very small sample size, averaging 2.4 points per contest. Two for 2 trip for Taylor. And it's a 1-point game.
And, you know, Lynchburg shoots almost about 8% higher than Ferrum does at the free throw line. So that's a really big part of the game. And if they're able to hit those shots throughout the game, they should kind of get a sizable lead.
Lynchburg first in the entire ODAC in free throw percentage, 77.1%. On top of that, Theron Suggs first individually, TC Thacker second in the ODAC in free throw percentage. So the team does it well, and in specific, they have 2 closers. The game gets tight, and you need to finish the game out at the line.
Oh, yeah, and it's always good to have direction on a team to know exactly where the ball is going and whose hands it's going to be in.
Dump off, left-handed layup for Thurman Smith. First 2 points for the freshman, hailing from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Fitch, far side wing, the 3, nothing but the bottom of the net.
Quick trigger right there.
As quick a release there is on the team. Knotted up 19 all. Lynchburg still has not had a lead in this game. Seen 3 ties. Here's another 3. Count it. Aiden Gamble. And the note we talked about with Ferrum at the top of the broadcast, they shoot the 3 a lot. They shoot it pretty well. They don't defend it all that well, statistically speaking. And we might have a track meet of sorts from beyond the arc on our hands if last minute or 2 continues the rest of the game. Lockamy calling for the travel. Chance for Ferrum to push the advantage to 2 possessions. Bryce Hall subs out. Smith Jr. back on. So obviously Ferrum looking to snap an 8-game losing streak, and still time in the season left. 2 teams down to less than 8 games, including tonight. Pick up a few wins in conference play. All you have to do is get to that number 10 seed. They're only a game behind number 11. Anything is possible if you get hot towards the end of the season. So Ferrum looking to keep their season going. They'll get hot late, push themselves into the playoff picture. Meanwhile, Lynchburg looking to improve 6-1 at home. And currently 4th in the ODAC standings. Of course, like to rise even more and get a more favorable matchup once you get to the ODAC tournament.
And, you know, I think teams that are on a losing streak sometimes play with a lot more heart because they want to end that streak. Like, they don't want to be setting any school records for the longest losing streak. But at the same time, the teams that are going against them also don't want to lose and kind of let them end that streak. They don't want to be the person that's like, oh, yeah, we were the ones who let Ferrum break their losing streak. So I feel like games where it's against a team that's really good and, you know, kind of struggling, sometimes it's a lot more closer than people think.
Emotional conflict just as much as physical conflict in a game of basketball. Suggs from the free throw line, strong. Carrington Young will check back in at the next dead ball for the Hornets. Smith drives, lost it. Turnover number 6 for Ferrum.
And Thacker just puts a body in front of him, limits his options, and mistakes are made.
That's easy to look at. 15.1 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per contest, but Thacker does a lot of the heavy lifting defensively. The rebounds, sure, that's towards the end of the defensive set, but 1.3 blocks per game and also just such a vocal leader on this team. That plays a huge aspect to it. Nifty finish for Bullock. Back to a 3-score contest. First 2 points of the night for the junior. From one Smith to another, now James Smith Jr. hands to Gamble. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Poked away by Lockamy. Loose ball.
Oh, great hustle play.
Hornets in transition. Shot fake, Bullock finds Young, 2 defenders in the vicinity. And it's tapped out. Last touch by the Panthers. As it goes across the baseline, that'll send it to our under 7-minute media timeout. Ferrum still out in front by 3. 24-21 your score on LHSN.
Look what you're missing. It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
.6:12 left to go in the first half of play. Panthers hold a 3-point advantage over the Hornets. You're watching LHSN. TJ Wingert alongside Thomas Murphy. Take you through all the action. Coming out of the timeout, it'll be Lynchburg possession. And Noah Bullock will have the honors to inbound from underneath the cup. Thomas, we were just talking during the break. 7th game in a 2-week span for Lynchburg. Ridiculous. That's an NBA, WNBA borderline type of schedule. Thacker fouled. Whistle goes against Ladler. But it was especially brutal during a stretch of Roanoke, Eastern Mennonite, at Shenandoah, at Randolph, at Virginia Wesleyan. A couple of those games being forced to move around because of COVID-19. Procedures and protocols, reschedules, et cetera, et cetera. So 5 games in 8 days. You get a little bit of a break before Tuesday's game against Hampton-Sydney. But then Tuesday, you have a walkthrough practice yesterday, and you're suiting up, getting right back at it. you got to think that fatigue has got to play an effect, especially down the rest of the year. Conference play, these games play a little more gritty, and it takes a little bit more out of you.
Absolutely.
Thacker brings it back to a one-score difference. 5:57 to go in the first half.
And you just hope that these guys are conditioning their bodies right, because a schedule like that can really take it out of you, and that can lead to injuries. And, you know, as long as you're stretching, doing all the stuff you need to be doing to get your body loose, you know, you should be in it for the long haul.
And that's where the unsung heroes of a lot of teams really come and play. Athletic trainers, they're as big a part of that as well, making sure you're resting, rehabbing, putting yourself and your body in specific in a position to take care of itself and succeed.
Absolutely.
Lockamy lays off for Thacker. One more pass. Lockamy blocked, finds Bullock. Once again, Lynchburg trying to play through Thacker. As he tries to receive the pass, Spraggins going to be called for the reach. Second foul to go against Spraggins. 6th overall against Ferrum. So next whistle to go against the Panthers will send Lynchburg to the line for a 1-and-1. Bullock subs out. Kevon James checks back in. Made his 4th consecutive start tonight. Inbound from Suggs. Trying to get it to Lockamy. Instead,
great hands.
Smith got the steal, turned it back over. Lockamy, spin. And he made the layup, but a late whistle. They're going to say the foul happened before the shot. So Lynchburg does not yet have their first lead of the night. Instead, it stays 24-23. We'll have Izzy Lockamy step to the line, as that was the 7th foul to go against the Panthers.
Now, I kind of thought that was continuation right there. I kind of thought he was in the shooting motion as he got fouled, but apparently the ref saw something I didn't.
And I would agree with you, but it's one of those things where we get paid to talk about the game instead of officiate it. Lockamy, normally a sure free throw shooter, misses on the front end and serves up a stop of sorts for Ferrum. Smith gets inside the paint. High arcing shot. Sinks through. Basket's good, and the foul. After seeing a possession where the foul was taken off despite the whistle, I had to wait a moment. Here's the and one again as Smith steps to the free throw line. A 74.4% free throw shooter. Made free throw brings it back to a 2-possession lead. That's exactly what we have on our hands. 27-23, Ferrum out in front. Again, these two teams have alternated wins and losses over the last 5. Ferrum looking to continue that trend with a win tonight. Lockamy from NBA range. A touch short.
I noticed that TC Thacker's really kind of facilitating a lot more than being aggressive in the paint. I wonder if that's going to be something that's talked about at halftime and he maybe comes out in the second half and changes that.
Lynchburg 2 of 12 from beyond the arc to start the night. Tipped out of play. It'll stay with Ferrum. And to your point, since the Randolph-Macon game, Thacker gets at least 2 defenders just about any time he touches the ball in the low post. Randolph-Macon did it, Eastern Mennonite, Hampton-Sydney the other night, and really it forces Thacker to be a Nikola Jokic type of player where he has to rely on his vision and have his teammates knock down shots. Spraggins fouled on the 3-point attempt. It goes against Young. 9 points so far for Michael Spraggins, all coming from beyond the arc. Now a chance to change that, so we'll get 3 opportunities. The free throw line. Take another look at the foul. Let you decide at home. Spraggins currently game's highest scorer with 9, also 6 rebounds. And now the sophomore, the first player to hit double digits on the evening. Spraggins a relatively newer addition to the starting lineup. Granted, Coach Sanborn has had a lot of different starting 5s throughout the season. But most recently, on Tuesday, in a loss at Guilford, Spraggins made just his 5th start of the season. It was his first start in 7 games. Tonight it was back-to-back nods in the starting five, and he's made good on the investment from Coach Sanborn. Foul called, guilty party, Anthony Taylor Jr. And clock will remain at 4:03 as players trot down the length of the floor, and it's going to be T.C. Thacker now getting free throws. And we were talking about T.C. Thacker forced to pass the basketball off a lot so far. He's got 3 points, all coming from the free throw line. He's taken 1 shot from the floor so far.
Yeah, and they might need to change that game plan up because right now he's not getting the job done with him facilitating, even though he's finding looks. It just seems like maybe he needs to kind of change the narrative of what the defense is going to expect from him.
Second free throw, sunk through. And sometimes it's a halftime adjustment. Take the EMU game for a perfect example. Thacker was quiet in the first half, erupts in the second half, and that was also the contest where hit his 1,000-point milestone. It's just one of those players where sometimes it's just a matter of when, not if. James Smith Jr. dish out. Taquan Drummond. No good from the near side wing. In transition, Suggs to James for 3. The seal still intact on the Hornets rim. Smith leaves the layup short. Thacker brings it across half court himself. Don't see this all that often. James, now Suggs for 3. History repeating itself. Back-to-back possessions where Lynchburg gets good looks. Unable to knock it down from the three-point line. And obviously there's more to it than this, but when you get into a stretch where you struggle shooting the three-point shot, sometimes it just gets in your head, and it feels like that is the lingering effect the most felt tonight.
It looks like they're hesitating on the three-point line, which, sometimes it's fixed with more shooting, believe it or not. And other times, if they can find other gaps in their defense that they can kind of expose, then, that will help them a lot. But I think right now they just got to get back into that groove that they were in on Tuesday with shooting that thing from the three-point line and kind of coming out in the second half.
Drummond dishes the corner. Butler got it to go. 45% three-point shooter. Can't leave him with any space. Ferrum ahead by 7. Illegal screen called on Dow Dunton. He's in disbelief. Going back to the three-point shooting, though, for Lynchburg. 2 games in a row where they've shot in below 30%. It was 25% at Virginia Wesleyan in the loss to the Marlins, and it was 28.6% on Tuesday. And then, of course, tonight, so far, 14.3%. Still a lot of basketball left. That number can certainly inflate and positively regress to the mean. This has been a difficult stretch for the Lynchburg offense, and it's forced them to have an identity check of sorts. How else can we score the basketball? Drummond no good. Offensive board for Taylor. Butler looking for 3 more. He's got it. 10-point lead for Ferrum, looking to snap an 8-game losing streak. Timeout on the floor. Less than 2 minutes to play. Hornets into the huddle, and the fans in attendance speechless.
Nothing like the game on Tuesday.
Tuesday was a rocking crowd, no doubt about it, but there are some similarities in the sense Lynchburg dig themselves into a home, and it's now, 3 consecutive home games? A win against EMU, win against Hampton-Sydney on Tuesday, and then tonight, 3 consecutive home games where Lynchburg put themselves in front of a daunting mountain to try to climb once you get to the second half. And really what you have to take away over the next minute 52, get this to a 6-point game. Try in inches a mile in this setting. Try to get a bucket, a stop, a bucket, go to the break with some momentum.
Oh, absolutely, and they don't need to go into panic mode just yet. As soon as they just start getting the points and the stops, everything else will fall into place, the momentum will change. Hopefully this crowd will get a lot more animated, and that, a lot of times the crowds can play into the factor of the game and how the teammates feel and how they go out there and play.
Certainly helps. You just saw the cheerleaders on the sideline. Also have the pep band with us for tonight's game. Those extra elements makes it really hammer home the feel of college basketball, especially now into the month of February. You know what that means. A month away from the madness ensuing.
Can't wait.
1:52 left until the break. It'll be a Lynchburg possession.
Yeah, I got to start thinking about making my bracket for March Madness coming up.
I don't even want to think about the headaches that's going to present me. I'll do a Division III one this year.
Oh.
Acrobatic move for James, unable to finish. Last touch by a Hornet. 98 seconds left in the first half. So an update on the shooting percentages for Lynchburg. 8 of 30 from the floor. That's 26.7%. 2 of 14 from 3, 14.3%. But they have had success. 7 of 9 from the free throw line. And that's another one of those things where as we get closer and closer to the second half, you find those edges in those areas where you've been successful and been the better team. I think that's going to be a big point of emphasis once we get to the second half. James Smith Jr. with a glance at the hand at the end of the three-point shot, knocked down. 13-point lead for Ferrum, the largest lead of the night for the Panthers. Parham gets a screen. Can't answer. Drummond the last to touch it. Does so while standing on the baseline. James out, Fitch back in for Lynchburg. Suggs once again to inbound. Hoisted up to Fitch. And the junior the last to touch it. Fitch frustrated with that call. And if you were to take a one-word approach to describe the first half for Lynchburg, I think frustrating might be the word you would choose.
I would agree with that. Frustrating.
Got to find a 5-letter word. We got to get our Wordle in.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I've been playing that. I've been playing that for last 10 days, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got to add to that 5-word vocabulary.
Oh, absolutely. Those are the crucial words.
Drummond, no good with the right hand. 12-second differential between shot and game clock. Lynchburg could go 2 for 1. They'd have to put it up quick. They do just that. Dunton, no good with the floater. Now it's about a 3.5-second difference. Coach Sanborn trying to have his team slow it down. Parham creates the turnover. Fouled on the way up. 24.3 to go in the first half. Presumably the Panthers will have the final possession, but first 2 free throws for Jordan Parham, an 85.7% free throw shooter, and making this play happen all by himself. That's a heads-up turnover to create.
Absolutely, and he just really hung in the air. If he is able to finish those, not much the defense can do to stop him.
And again, the big area of separation for the advantage for Lynchburg, getting to the free throw line. As a team now 8 for 10 after that make from Jordan Parham. When you think about it, 8 of the 26 points, almost a little over 30% of their scoring production. And it's now 9 of their 27, 33.3% of their scoring production. Final possession of the first half. Clock down to 5. Drummond sizes up. Young, 3. Halfway down, rattles out. Parham. Oh, touches the iron. Gives us something to think about, but won't see it fall through. 11-point lead for Ferrum. We've reached halftime in Lynchburg, Virginia. We're going to step aside and come back with some stats from the first half. But actually first, interview with men's lacrosse head coach Stephen Kudelka coming to you when we come back. You're watching Lynchburg and Ferrum on LHSN.
if I'm walking around over on the crowd side, I always hear someone yelling, "Hey Nat, take our picture. Hey Nat, get this," or something, or "Hey Nat, you got that shot?" Like, so I'm always like trying to photograph the crowds and my friends calling my name. I think sports at Lynchburg unifies us as a whole. No matter what background we come from, what differences we have, and what experience we've experienced through our lives, it brings us all together and we have one goal, which is to win. As a photographer, I definitely get to capture the emotion and the feel and the atmosphere of what's going on during the games and what's happening in the crowd and with the fans. We have hugely dedicated fans here at Lynchburg. They come out whether it's rain, snow, sleet, windy, no matter what, like they will come out and support their team and cheer them on.
Halftime in Lynchburg, Virginia. You're watching University of Lynchburg Hornets take on the Ferrum Panthers. Halftime here at Wayne Prophet Court. Ferrum ahead by 11. At the break, TJ Winger joined by men's lacrosse head coach Stephen Kadelka. Coach, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Well, I know you're a big basketball fan. I'd love to have some of your thoughts from that first half. It's similar to Tuesday we were talking to President Allison, and the shooting wasn't great, so tough to talk about that, but still some positives to take from that first half.
Yeah, hopefully, just like the other day, that we're a second half team.
Sure.
I think they're shooting the ball pretty well. Ferrum is, and attacking the rim pretty good, and our shots just aren't falling right now. But it's tough. They're in this tough stretch right now with all these games back to back to back, and they'll fight through it. They got a great group of guys, and Coach Scott will get them going at halftime. I'm sure they'll come out swinging in the second half.
And the good news is they are generating good looks. Eventually they'll start knocking down.
Absolutely.
And now for your squad, we're really excited. We're getting closer and closer. You have your final scrimmage against Catholic this upcoming Saturday. It's one of those final tune-ups. Where do you think the team's at right now?
I think it's been a great start. I mean, we obviously had some weather issues we had to deal with early on with the snowfall that came right before we started, but the guys handled it in a great way. And I think we're really, for February 3rd, we told them after practice tonight, I thought we're in a great space right now where we are. We're looking forward to this weekend playing at home. It's the first time we've played at home with this group all year. We were on the road in the fall. We were on the road last week up at UVA, which was a great day to play on Sunday, and then now we get to play at home on Saturday, which will be a lot of fun for our guys.
And obviously you built a powerhouse. The preseason accolades pouring in. We got All-Americans. Also, depending on what poll you look at, preseason number 5, preseason number 6. All that to say, the bar is set high. And what do you do with some of those expectations? Does that make it any harder for you as a coach?
No. We have our guys know the expectation is to win the ODAC championship, obviously, and get to the NCAA tournament through the automatic qualifier, and then compete for a national championship. So that's the goal. We talk about what are the action items to get there, right? And so, every single day we're trying to get better at practice. We're trying to, do what we need to do in the weight room and those types of things and taking care of our body. But it's been a great start so far, and we're excited to get the season going for sure.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you so much for joining me. Now I'm really amped up for men's lacrosse action now. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We'll take a quick pause, come back with stats from the first half. You're watching Lynchburg and Ferrum on LHSN.
Awesome.
Look what you're missing.
It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It doesn't matter how long ago you had your professor, they still remember you and they remember all of the hard work that you put in. They're always there for you, and they always want to do the best that they can to help you succeed. Here, you learn how to love one another regardless of what's going on or what you believe. You leave here better than what you came in. It's what this school's really good at doing.
Okay. We're good.
Halftime in Lynchburg, Virginia. Ferrum out in front, 38-27. You're watching LHSN. TJ Winger alongside Thomas Murphy now. Great conversation a moment ago with Coach K, but now, Thomas, let's dive into some of the stats and figures in this contest. And we've harped on it a lot tonight, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the three-point shooting is the difference. Ferrum, 58.3%. On the other side, Lynchburg, 13.3%.
Nice.
It's tough to win basketball games with that big of a disparity.
It's really tough, and honestly, like going back to what I said in the beginning of the game, you know, Ferrum's been living and dying by the three. Right now, they are living.
Living large.
They're living large. They are living. I mean, they've shot less threes than Lynchburg and made more than Lynchburg. So when you have a team that's shooting less but making more than your team, that's just not a good recipe to win.
And instead for Ferrum, that's a big recipe for a win. And one of the other things that really stood out to me, 2 offensive rebounds for Ferrum. You love that if you're a Lynchburg fan. 6 offensive rebounds for the Hornets. Pretty solid. That's turned into 6 second chance points for each side. That's an insane amount of efficiency for Ferrum. They've gone 2 for 2 basically from beyond the arc after getting an offensive rebound. Absolutely. Lynchburg, though, over the past couple of games, they've had a hard time turning offensive rebounds into second chance points. And down by 11 at the break, you need every point you can get in the second half.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, it's going to be a slow grind. They still got a full half of basketball left to play here, but as long as they can keep a cool head, again, they don't have to go into panic mode just yet, but at this point, they got to start making something happen. So, you know, they don't have that luxury of being kind of, you know, relaxed on the bench and sending in guys just to kind of get the job done. They need to start outworking the other team. There is no more second chances. This is it.
Well said. We're going to take one more pause, come back with highlights, talk adjustments, and then bring you the second half of action between Lynchburg and Ferrum coming to you on LHSN.
Be ready for anything, okay?
Come on, let's go together. Together, let's go.
twist to death twist. Straight. Straight up, yep. Yeah. Cool. Good one. All right, guys, you see the meat grinder down here? Stay in the boat. Let's go.
Oh, what you think of that?
Get small classes, nationally recognized mentoring and advising, and a community that has your back every step of the way at the University of Lynchburg.
Just under a minute away from second half, between Lynchburg and Ferrum. Watching this game on LHSN. Here are some of the highlights from the first set of 20 minutes. Thomas, let's take the opportunity to talk about some individuals. Game's highest scorer, Michael Spraggins, 11 points, 3 for 4 shooting from beyond the arc, couple points from the free throw line. His presence as a floor-stretching big has certainly been a huge difference so far tonight.
Absolutely, and if he can just continue doing that in the second half, this should be an easy win for the Panthers because it looks like Lynchburg hasn't stopped him yet. And
right.
If they don't change something in their defensive scheme for the second half, he's just going to take advantage and start eating.
And he's not the only player in double figures for Ferrum. Joining him is James Smith Jr. with 10 exact, and then Jamar Butler knocking the door with 8 for Lynchburg. Highest score, 6 points from Jordan Parham. 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 5 from inside the arc, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. And then T.C. Thacker, 5 points, 4 rebounds, always a threat for a double-double. He's got 14 of those on the year. But what really stands out, all 5 of those points from the free throw line. And he only has the 1 shot from the floor. And maybe it's what we talked about during halftime. When he gets second chance opportunities, instead of looking to kick it back out, reset the offense, or get a 3, maybe it's just Thacker going right back up with it.
It should, and he's got the skill and he's got the mobility to do stuff like that. Like he can create for himself. He doesn't need someone to hand feed him the ball. So if he gets the ball in a good position, he's just got to be aggressive and go for it.
And obviously the situation makes it, different every time it comes around. But down by 11, 20 minutes, all that remain. Might want to see Thacker be a little bit more aggressive in those spots. We'll find out. Second half is here. First possession goes to the Hornets. Lockamy pass a little wayward, and Thacker draws the first foul of the second set of 20. And Lynchburg did a really good job not only getting to the free throw line, but knocking down those looks. 9 of 11 in the first half, and that might be one of the pathways back in this contest for the Hornets. Getting to the free throw line, working your way to a quick bonus trip, and then milk this or cut into the deficit slowly but surely at the free throw line, and that's exactly where Thacker's headed right now. Already the second foul to go against Ferrum. Not even 18 seconds into the second half.
And I think Thacker might have heard our conversation coming into the halftime because he looks a lot more aggressive right now than he did in the first half.
Already set. Thacker misses from the free throw line, and ordinary, very sure free throw shooter, 87.1%. Already his second miss tonight. Now 5 for 7 from the line all told. Make it 5 for 8. Not the start Lynchburg had envisioned on their first possession. Bryce Hall dishes to Ladler. Here's Butler. He knocks it down. He's got double figures. Misses off the right side of the iron. Back down low to Thacker. Size advantage against Ladler. Suggs goes up. Works through the contact and a good finish.
Absolutely. And stuff like that gets him hyped up. And you can just tell by the way he plays on the defensive end that once he scores, he's a different kind of player.
Butler dish to the corner. 3 for Smith. No good. Last touched by Hunter Ladler. Lynchburg takes over. Still down by 11. Taquan Drummond subs back in. Michael Spraggins will head to the bench. Drummond in the first half. 1 of 6 shooting from the floor. 0 for 2 from 3. 2 points so far on the night. Lynchburg looking to ignite the offensive production. James looking in the direction of Thacker instead. The dish goes to Suggs. Contested 2. No good. Loose ball popped up. Ladler settles it. Finds his point guard, Smith Jr., to bring it across half court. Great hustle from Kevon James, and that really highlights what I've heard since getting into the starting lineup, and obviously preceding it as James also draws the foul. He'll head to the free throw line. Chance to get his first points on the night. But James is one of those players who never stop putting in the work and really speaks to who his character is, and he's a fun kid to talk to above all else. And it's really awesome to see him back in the starting lineup and taking advantage of it. Provided some good play for Coach Scott, especially Cam Savage with a scary injury on Tuesday. No official word on the diagnosis or how long that injury might keep him out, but that means a bigger workload on the plate of Kevon James.
Absolutely, and hoping for a speedy recovery.
James 0 for 4 from the floor tonight. Now 1 for 2 from the free throw line. 8-point ball game. We've had a handful of ties, but Ferrum, the only team to have a lead. Drummond trying to take on Young, the former Ferrum player. Nice finish from Drummond. Pushes the Ledger back to 10. James no good. O-board, put back 2 for Thacker.
And great awareness of where the ball was going on that miss. And Thacker gets his first 2 points of the half.
Some tough floor spacing there for Ferrum. 3 players essentially standing on top of each other. It's also a 5-out set, really spreading the floor, and it goes to showcase the offense that wants to shoot the 3 ball. And they shoot it a lot, 551 attempts before tonight. But that said, Ferrum's taken 13 threes, Lynchburg's taken 15. A little bit of a different look than what you might have anticipated coming into tonight.
Especially with the numbers of, Ferrum having the highest 3-point percentage for opposing teams' 3-pointers. This is just not what we expected at all.
Slips through the hands of Young, gets it back, finds Lockamy for 3. Indeed.
And that was a beautiful pass right there, just dimed it right to him.
And it can all start with 1. That's what happened on Tuesday against Hampton-Sydney. A couple of trays from Kevon James. Then it was Alex Fitch going on a heater. Power Lynchburg to come back despite a 14-point deficit at halftime. Hornets looking for history to repeat itself. Smith loses it. Last touch by Carrington Young. It'll stay with the Panthers. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Nice heads-up play from Carrington Young, just stepping up. And that's not a wall I'd want to run through to get to the cup. And one, Thurman Smith. Just checked in.
That's unfortunate. TC Thacker just a little too late to the party.
Second foul to go against, or excuse me, third foul to go against Thacker. That's something else we have to monitor now throughout the rest of the second half. Smith 1 for 1 for the free throw line this year. Make it 2 for 2. Lead back to 8. Thacker finds Suggs. Shot a touch too strong. Drummond, nothing but nylon.
Someone's got to step up on them to stop those threes. They're letting them have them. Too much space.
Ferrum now 8 for 15 for three-point land. James with a lane to the cup, misses strong, kicks it out. Lockamy, is he cash? Yes, he is.
Hard foul for Bryce Hall.
And a hard fall for Hall as well. He's still down on the floor. Timeout call. This will send us to our first media timeout of the second half. Hopefully we'll see Bryce Hall get back to his feet when we return. You're watching Lynchburg and Ferrum on LHSN.
My name is Joshua Carr. I am a senior. I am a theater major as well as a history minor. I live in 5th Street, the historic black neighborhood. The money.
Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia. Good to see Bryce Hall back on his feet and working his way to the bench. Looked like he landed pretty awkwardly on the base of his back, that tailbone area. I can assure you, not a comfortable place to land on. Coming out of the timeout, it's going to be fair in possession. Panthers already ahead by 8. Ferrum looking to snap an 8-game losing streak and garner their first conference win of the season. Lynchburg looking to make it back-to-back wins at home. Just 2 days removed from their comeback victory over Hampton-Sydney. Drummond in the face of Thacker, drills it. Lockamy, give him 3 more. Now 3 threes on the night for Lockamy, all in the second half. Drummond looking to stay hot, denied by Thacker. Young picks up the loose ball. Thacker, unselfish play. James for 3, indeed. Lynchburg finding success from beyond the arc and storm all the way back to make it a 4-point ball game. Fans on their feet. Pull up Jay Smith. Has it go in and out. Theron Suggs had a tough night shooting so far. A player that's prone to heat up at any moment. Cross-court swing, Young to Lockamy. Misses strong off the hands of Suggs, and Ferrum to take over with 13:50 left to play. But loose ball sends us to immediate timeout. We'll step aside and come right back. Ferrum up 48-44 on LHSN. It was an 11-point game at halftime. Now a 4-point contest. Ferrum still in the driver's seat out in front of Lynchburg. Hornets looking to improve to 6-1 at home. And Thomas, you made note of it while we were talking a moment ago. Feels like Uncle Mo has swung in the favor of the Hornets.
Absolutely. The crowd has received what was going on the court, and they're starting to bring that energy back to the team. And you can tell the bench is also a lot more animated. Last couple of plays, they're out of their seats. They're standing up. They're jumping around. They're getting hype. That's a great thing to see going into the last 14 minutes of the game.
And history truly repeating itself. Lynchburg 2 for 15 from three-point land in the first half, 4 for 6 in the second half. Now, what does that mirror? The exact same start to second half three-point shooting on Tuesday against Hampton-Sydney. And if you're a Lynchburg fan, you're hoping for the same result. Aiden Campbell over to Butler. Had 8 in the first half, and here called for the travel.
Lynchburg's defense is putting bodies in front of the offensive player, limiting their options. Love to see it.
And Coach Scott, before Tuesday's Code Red game, talked about the crowd that was on hand. And his hope was that energy would amplify Lynchburg's defensive effort. James makes it a 1-point game. And I'd say the energy is carried on the defensive side, but also helped out in the shooting department.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone's up.
Lynchburg winning the second half, 20-10 as of now. Foul on his way up. Drummond going to head to the free throw line. Third whistle to go against the Hornets. 12:55 to play.
So TJ, I mentioned this in the beginning of the game. How big of an impact do you think being kind of in the average basketball setting of having all your teammates sitting side by side on the bench plays into that momentum building experience during the game? Because last season, with social distancing going on, you know, teammates, when they went to the bench, they were sitting 6 feet apart from each other. They really couldn't converse. They couldn't talk about minor things during the play. How big of an impact do you think that makes now?
I'm going to give you the same answer you gave me before the game. That's a great question, and I'm not entirely sure. One of those things where on paper, I think it makes a huge difference, right? Harder to build upon energy when you're 6 feet apart from another. Now you're shoulder to shoulder. Someone stands up, well, you're going to stand up too. You're right next to him. Why not? So I think it definitely plays a factor. And additionally, when you look at new teammates coming in and how that camaraderie, I think it's easier to gel as a team when you're obviously shoulder to shoulder as opposed to a few feet apart. And it's interesting to maybe think about how that's affected this year and these timeout situations, right? Coaches had a different way of communicating to teams last year as opposed to right now in a huddle, everyone all around. So
exactly.
It's a really fun question you asked me beforehand, and my answer stays the same. It's a good question, and I am not the one to give you an answer. I wish I was that smart, though. I wish it was that easy.
I think a lot of the constructive criticism that comes from teammates and coaches, you know, it's like it's easier to just kind of tap someone on the shoulder and say, like, hey, do this next time when you go out there. It's a lot easier to do that now instead of kind of going before where it's like, oh, I got to walk, 6 feet away from someone to say, like, hey, this is what I want to say. I don't want anyone else hearing it, like other team, coaches. So I think some of the secrecy, too, with, being so close quarters plays a part in that.
Well, out of the timeout, Taquan Drummond steps to the free throw line for tonight's contest, a 58.3% free throw shooter, and he misses on the first. These are the first 2 free throw attempts on the evening for Drummond. Chance to make it a 2-point game. And Drummond does just that. James has been hot of late. 6 points already in the second half. Here, cutting to the basket. Beautiful finish with his offhand. James gets a hand on the basketball once again, nearly creating a turnover. James Smith dribbles it out. Drummond lines up the 3, knocks it through.
Can't leave him open. Someone's got to switch on to him. Can't leave a guy like that on the top of the key with that much space and time.
And it was right after Lynchburg had tied it up 49-all. And we saw that a couple times in the first half, Thomas. Maybe you missed it if you're just now joining us. Lynchburg found themselves down early, but then multiple times got it back to a one-possession game. There was even the occasional tie in there, but still, Lynchburg has not had a lead once in this contest. And this comes on the heels of beating Hampton-Sydney on Tuesday in a game where they had a lead for 37 seconds of that game. Don't know how that works basketball logic-wise, but that's exactly what happened. And now you're in a spot where you're trying to do the same thing again, and it's a basketball oddity. I don't know if that's the shoulder you want to lean on.
It's definitely strange, but, you know, stranger things have happened in the game for sure.
Out of the timeout, Hornets looking to respond after the three from Drummond. Speaking of Drummond, now a game-high 13 on the evening. Theron Suggs, just 5 points so far, 2 for 9 shooting from the floor. Defended by Smith. Swung over to Parham. In and out. Panthers with a chance to push the lead back to 2 possessions. Drummond in the face of Taylor, long 2, knocked through. Daquan Drummond averaging less than 6 points per contest. Got 15 tonight. Suggs loses it. Costly turnover for Lynchburg. 8th on the night for the Hornets.
Lynchburg can't start slipping. They just got back to that even mark, and you know they got to make sure that they hold it the next time they get it, if they ever even get close again.
And you have to give a ton of credit to Coach Sanborn and this Ferrum team. Every time Lynchburg's been able to work themselves back to that one possession difference or even tie the game up, it feels like, okay, Uncle Mo's going to completely reverse the flip. But instead, Ferrum's been right there to deliver a punch right back and reassert themselves in the lead.
Absolutely. Ferrum's not giving up. They don't want to give anything easy.
And we'll see if they're able to do it once again. 2-point difference. Alex Fitch knocking through that 3-point shot. His first 3 points on the night. Smith working against Dunton. Big man holding his own. Nifty head fake.
Oh, what a move. What a stutter step, too, to get down to jump.
Nice repertoire moves for the senior. 10.5 to play. Fitch looking for 3 more. Won't have it. Ferrum will have a sub check and the next dead ball. Appears to be Jamar Butler. Drummond on his way to the baseline. Block is called. It goes against Dunton. 4th foul against Lynchburg. And we open up the second half with 2 fouls against Ferrum in less than 18 seconds. Now with 10 minutes and 5 seconds to go, only 3 fouls against Ferrum. They've done a really nice job bouncing back, playing clean defense, and avoiding a clear pathway for Lynchburg to get to the bonus. Smith long 2. Missed the rim entirely. Parham pulls the trigger. Left it short. And a rebound gathered by Drummond. Excuse me, foul against Drummond. And he can't believe it. Thacker hit the hardwood. And Lynchburg garners a second opportunity. This won't necessarily go into the second chance points category. It's Taylor. This is fading away. These two, will count as second chance points. Lynchburg now with 13 on the night. Definitely a step up from where they were at halftime with 6. So you've already seen that quantity more than doubled here in the second half.
Absolutely.
And that's been a big part to why Lynchburg has been able to claw their way back, now down by 2. And it's been even all the way through between these two squads. And this is a really fun part of the game where the coaches, you really feel their effect on a contest. X's and O's, what you see, what they're drawing up on the whiteboard, but also the adjustments, then the adjustments to the adjustments, and then those layers continue to build upon each other. And honestly, I think both coaches have been really stellar tonight. Every time one side's had the advantage, they've had the answer to respond. And that's why you've had this game feel like it's a game of runs. 6-0 here, 8-2 there, et cetera, et cetera. And it's made for a really entertaining game so far.
Absolutely. And I think this really challenges coaches' idea of how to adjust on the fly. You know, like they don't have to go with the same game plan throughout the entire game because the game's changed. This is not the same game that we started with, and I think that makes the job for the coaches harder, but it really shows what they're made of.
Both teams will be in action this upcoming Saturday. Just want to preview their upcoming schedule. Lynchburg will be at Eastern Mennonite, 2 p.m. tip-off in a game against the Royals. Meanwhile, Ferrum will travel back to Lynchburg to take on the Randolph Wildcats. Tip-off set for 2 p.m. as well for that Saturday afternoon clash between the Panthers and the Wildcats. 9 minutes, 36 seconds, all that remain. Ferrum ahead by 2. And the Panthers will have possession coming out of the timeout. And additionally, talking about the adjustments, it's not just the X's and O's and what you're trying to accomplish on offense, it's who you're trying to run the offense through. And I think Coach Sanborn did a great job. Talked about Drummond averaging less than 6 points per game before tonight. He's got 15. I think he's seen a hot hand and taken advantage of what Taquan Drummond's brought to the table tonight. Spraggins to the top of the key, nearly thrown away by Jamar Butler. Nice hustle for Smith to keep it in. Off the hands of Parham. Ferrum keeps possession. 8 seconds to work with on the shot clock. 3 players in double-digit scoring for Ferrum, 15 for Drummond, 12 for James Smith Jr., and 11 for Spraggins. Butler looking to be the 4th. Misses on the 3. Offensive rebound, though, for Taquan Drummond, continuing to have a strong night. 2 players in double figures, 1 for Lynchburg, 11 for Lockamy. Kevon James with 9. He is knocking on the door, become the 2nd. Pressure defense brought on by Lynchburg, and it induces a turnover. Thacker for Fitch, the trailer. Bullock lines up the 3. Touches the rim, then the backboard, ultimately a miss. Bring it across half court. James Smith Jr. calls for the timeout. 8:31 to go. And you can see Coach Sanborn was calling for the timeout. And it was in direct response to the pressure being brought on. Again, talking about it just a moment ago, you see it come to fruition. A change for each side. And when you're not anticipating that pressure and a trap right there at half court, when you have a 3rd defender on your back, can't go back across half court, it can throw you for a loop. Leads to a turnover. Unfortunately, though, if you're a Lynchburg fan, doesn't result in points the other way.
And that's something that they got to definitely, make the most of going forward, because that 2 points could have gotten them all even. It's not rocket science. That as soon as they get the ball across the court, they have to make the very most of every single one of those plays, because every turnover is basically -2 points to the other team.
And even more so, if that 3 falls for Bullock, it's the first lead of the night for Lynchburg. And I'm leaning on this as an emotional aspect of the game as opposed to having stats to back it up. But it feels like once you get a game to a 1 possession or tie it, taking the lead is the last hurdle. And you may say, okay, well, you were down by 11 at the break. You've worked on your way back. What's one more shot? It feels like it's Mount Everest that stands between teams when they finally get to a position where we can take a lead, especially for Lynchburg. It'd be their first lead of the night, and it's the toughest climb to make, hardest wall to punch through, and Lynchburg unable to do so far tonight. And against Hampton-Sydney, it didn't come in the second half till 8 seconds were left. We might be waiting for the next 8.5.
We might be, and maybe they feel that same way, that as long as they keep it close, this game's not over.
Players back on the court, but first, we'll have a meeting between our officials. As if this game hadn't built up enough anticipation, we have to let it build just a wee bit more. And talking about that deficit game, had a great quote from Alex Fitch after Tuesday's game against Hampton-Sydney, saying, quote, Coach Scott put a quote on the board that says, "The wolf climbing up the mountain is hungrier than the wolf at the top." See if that message becomes applicable once again. Lynchburg creates the turnover. Now a chance to either tie or get that first lead of the night. Miles Taylor, who just checked in, gets it back to Bullock. Looking down low, Thacker with 12 on the shot clock. Left-handed hook, sinks through, knotted up, 56 apiece.
There's that aggressive play. It's going to help him get back into this game and hopefully establish a pretty sizable lead.
And the pressure is brought by the Hornets. Nearly a steal for Parham. It would have been an easy two the other way. Lynchburg, it's like a trap 2-1-2. Very different look than the standard man-to-man defense. Drummond ahead of the free throw line. Nice finish through contact. Back to Thacker. Punched away by Drummond. Smith for Spraglin. In and out on the dunk. Spraggins will want that one back. Loose ball knocked to the floor is Jared Butler. We'll see what the whistle's going to go against. It'll go against Miles Taylor and the Lynchburg Hornets.
Fans definitely.
Izzy Lockamy checks back in, inbound for Ferrum, far side underneath the basket. Fifth foul to go against Lynchburg. Step back tray. Smith Jr. misses long. Pick and roll. Thacker receives the pass. Hacked from behind. It'll go against Drummond, his third on the night. He and Thacker now both playing with three. That's the most for any player on each side. Michael Spraggins also has three for Ferrum. Take another look. The contact against Thacker. Grad student from Madison Heights, Virginia. Becomes the second player for Lynchburg to hit double figures with 10 exact. He knocks down the second free throw. He'll tie Lockamy for a team best 11. Also, have to keep our eyes on anytime we're talking about that with TC Thacker. 2 rebounds away from double-double number 15 on the year.
Coach being very animated on the sideline.
Sets up an inbound play for Ferrum. Coming from the far side. Lofted alley-oop. Campbell on the receiving end. Moves Ferrum back ahead by 2.
That was just a perfect timing play by the pass and the jump.
Whistle blown. And it goes against Drummond, his fourth. He'll be forced to go to the bench. Anthony Taylor Jr. checks on in his place. And that's the 6th foul to go against Ferrum. Another look at the alley-oop. Great finish, even better pass. Thacker, through the body contact, will return to the free throw line.
And Thacker's not afraid down there. He knows he's going to get hacked. He knows there's going to be contact, but he just wants to get those points. And if he gets them at the free throw line or just in the paint, he doesn't care.
Thacker misses on the first, though. So Ferrum will maintain the lead no matter what happens here. Thacker now 8 for 12 from the line tonight. 60-59, 6 minutes, 12 seconds to go. More of that zone trap for the Hornets. Taylor finds Butler in the corner. Dribbled out by the junior. Smith picks up his dribble. Standing on the Wayne Prophet signature. Long two, no good. O-board Butler. Tapped away by Young. Gathered by Kevon James. Lockamy for the lead. Misses strong. Ball still live. Lockamy to the floor. Jump ball called. And Ferrum will take over possession.
And he did not want to give up that ball, which is great for the Lynchburg Hornets because, you know, they can't let those kind of plays go by. They got to make the most of the play, and that means diving onto the floor to get it just for a chance. Got to start doing that. 1-point game.
Again into the hands. James Smith Jr., our Ferrum player to watch. Returns the favor. Butler finds Gamble in the corner. Shot clock down to 1. And that's a shot clock violation. Huge stop there for Lynchburg, and done so in very impressive style. Not only do you get the stop, you get down, you do the dirty work for 30 seconds. That's easier said than done. Sometimes lose that concentration after 25, 27 seconds. Lynchburg holds their ground and made bucket here or a pair of free throws. Get their first lead on the night.
And that defense was suffocating. If they can do that every single defensive possession, I mean, there's not much Ferrum can do.
Thacker to Young, a zip pass. Lockamy moves Lynchburg ahead for the first time tonight. The dime comes from the former Panther himself.
And great awareness by Carrington to see where his teammates were, setting him up for success.
Suggs called for the foul. Stops the clock with 4:24 to go. Subs will check on. Taquan Drummond playing with 4 fouls. Another look at that dime supplied by Carrington Young. Is a name you can overlook. Doesn't pour that much into the scoring column all that often, but man, does he make a difference everywhere else. But now Young called for the foul. Bucket plus the contact. Taquan Drummond have a night. 17 points. And Drummond with a chance to make it 18.
And a tough finish by Drummond. You really gotta, you can't ask for more than that by putting your body right in the defender's face to get that, to hit those buckets.
He had a season best 15. 5 games back against Randolph-Macon. Easily surpassed it, now with 18. Keep in mind, Drummond's missed the last 3 games played. Did not play against WNL, EMU, or at Guilford. What a return to play tonight. James with the answer.
And there's a 1-point lead for the Lynchburg Hornets.
Silky smooth shooting motion, Kevon James, the 3rd player for Lynchburg to reach double figures. He's got 12.
Leaving Bryce Hall really open in the corner there.
Back out to Smith. Misses strong. Rebound Young. His 6th on the night. He brings the offense across half court. The trailer, Suggs. He'll knock it down every time from that spot if you leave him that open.
And the
crowd fully into it.
Yes, sir.
Largest lead of the night for Lynchburg at 3. 10 on the shot clock. Butler from the corner. No good. Hall taps it to Drummond. Another possession for Ferrum. And one. Jamar Butler finishes through contact and becomes the 4th player for Ferrum to hit double figures.
And Young can't believe it. He had to kind of walk off there.
3rd whistle to go against Young. He and Thacker both playing with 3. Izzy Lockamy has 2. He's the next closest on the court for Lynchburg. Butler ties it up, 66 all. On the entry pass down low, Thacker draws the foul against Hunter Ladler. Excuse me, that was Drummond. He has fouled out. The Panthers will play the final 2:35 without their leading scorer.
And the fans waving goodbye, happy to see him go. Maybe now Lynchburg has a chance, or at least a better one.
After missing 3 games, Drummond tallied up a season-best 18 tonight. Now Ferrum down by 1, a timeout called by Coach Sanborn. And an opportunity for Ferrum and their head coach to talk about what they want to do after the next free throw comes from Thacker. There's the jumper from Suggs we saw a minute ago. And he's had another tough night shooting the basketball, 4 of 11, but has worked his way up to 9 on the night. He's only had 4 games this year where he scored less than 10. He's been a consistent scorer all year long for the Hornets. Point away from adding another double-digit scoring effort to his ledger. Well, Thomas, it's been a fun one so far.
It has. It's been a lot closer than I think you and me both thought, for sure.
And give a ton of credit to Ferrum. This is a spot in the year where a team 0-10 in conference play last in the standings. You could easily roll over, and especially if you're a senior and it's just your last couple of games. Absolutely. It's easy to go out on a whimper. Players like James Smith Jr., Jamar Butler's an upperclassman, Hunter Ladler, and of course Taquan Drummond, another senior. They've come to play, knowing that there's only so much basketball left in their careers, more so for the seniors than those juniors I mentioned. But also understanding we're a game back of number 11, and then you get hot, couple 2-3 wins, 4 wins down the stretch, you get into the ODAC tournament, and then at that point, anything's possible. You're coming down to winning 3 games in 4 days, something any team can do.
It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, and I think a lot of these upperclassmen want to finish strong, and they want to, extend that career that they have for as long as they can, because you can't give that time up.
And Coach Sanborn, you have to think it starts tonight. With a huge win on the road, it'd be the 2nd time Lynchburg lost at home. The first was against Roanoke. This will help the Panthers. Thacker with his 5th missed free throw tonight.
Yeah, he has not been hot from the free throw line tonight.
Still has 13.
He does.
Kickball called. Fresh 20 put on the shot clock for Ferrum. James Smith Jr. with the honors to insert. Butler gets past Lockamy, misses the layup. Whistle blown. It'll go against Hunter Ladler. Carrington Young will head to the free throw line.
Great hustle by Carrington. No one was going to get that board but him. Made sure to clear out.
And his stat line tonight speaks exactly what we talked about when we were talking about the starting lineups. 2 points, chance to get 3 and 4 here for Young. 7 rebounds, 6 assists.
Does the little things.
And the 1-on-1, Young misses on the first. They'll say last touch by Ferrum. A fortunate bounce for Lynchburg. With a made bucket, can push the lead to a full 1 possession advantage, or with a 3-point shot, make it a 2-possession game. With how much the defenses have stepped up over the last minute or two of game time, 2-possession lead might be all you need. James looking to stay hot. Touches the rim twice. Whistle goes against Ferrum. And another player has fouled out. Or at least it appeared that way. A lot of fans waving a player goodbye upon review. Ladler has 4, and ultimately the foul was called on Bryce Hall, his 3rd. Ladler was in the vicinity, and I believe that's what the Hornets fans in attendance thought the foul was going to go against. 1:56 to play, 3-point Lynchburg lead. Thacker now with 14, 2 rebounds shy of what would be double-double 15, and would tie him for most in the NCAA. Double-doubles on the season. Stands just 1 behind Miles Gillette at River. And River not playing tonight, so if Thacker gets 2 more rebounds, it'll be a tie for the nation's lead in double-doubles. That point aside, I don't think Thacker nor any Lynchburg fan really cares for that matter. They're worried about over the next minute, 56 seconds, holding on to this lead. It would make 3 consecutive home games where Lynchburg, down at half, made the comeback in the second set of 20.
It just kind of shows to their character. They don't give up on the games. They don't let it fester. They don't let the lead of the other team grow out of proportions to where they can't do anything about it. So props to the coaches, props to the players for not giving up.
And it's almost like a soccer tendency or field hockey, going back to our fall sports. Sometimes you use that first 15, 30, even the first half of a game. In those respective sports, feel out your opponent, see how they adjust to different passing sequences and whatnot. Then in the second half, that's when you implement what you want to do against it. And it almost feels like that's, I don't know if it's purposeful, but that feels like what's been happening for Lynchburg. They play the first half, see what they can improve upon, get those tweaks, and honestly, the adjustments, we're batting 1,000 right now for Coach Scott. He's been red hot with the tweaks he's made and paid dividends. It was a comeback win against EMU, comeback win against Hampton-Sydney, and Lynchburg less than 2 minutes away from making it a 3rd consecutive comeback victory.
And I think that's what makes sports so special and unpredictable, is that a team that doesn't have as good of a record can still come out and make those adjustments to be a completely different team. And the same goes to the other team. They're not facing the same team that they were facing the last game.
Butler with a chance to tie, leaves it short. Spraggins no good on the second chance. Ball still alive. 3rd opportunity. Another miss. Rebound for Suggs. Big missed opportunities for Ferrum. Now the Panthers need a stop. Lynchburg, the chance to put this game on ice. Suggs to the cup. Leaves it short, and Suggs still down on the floor. Hopefully he gets back up, and he does. Pass fake, and a beautiful one at that. Smith.
Suggs holding his back. Fell down hard, got back up pretty quickly, but hope he's okay.
And it's a bit of a gingerly walk towards the bench for Suggs, and it's a 1-point game with 66 seconds left to go. We've gotten our money's worth here on LHSN. Another look, you see the pass fake from the backside angle. And it's a spot there where I think that's the right play, right? If you pick up the ball handler and defend the shot from the inside, it's a wide open 3 potentially for the tie. Instead, give up the 2, you maintain the lead.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's not about making the most points on the play, just the right play.
And it seems like Lynchburg, at least in my opinion and yours as well, made the right play there, minimizing the damage that could be done. See the Lynchburg cheer team. The crowd's been a big factor. I'd like to think the cheerleaders have played a factor in that as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think every Lynchburg supporter has always played a factor just by showing up. You know, they don't have to be the most vocal, but just them being here shows their presence and support for the team.
And I tell you what, if there is any group that this team is going to point to as a difference in all these comeback wins, we've had 3 stellar crowds, and The home opener for Lynchburg was played after students had left to go home for Thanksgiving and the winter break. So the EMU game, Tuesday's game against Hampton City, and tonight, really the first time that Lynchburg's been able to play home games with students as a factor in the stands. And, hey, I'd say it's paid dividends.
Absolutely.
Both teams back on the floor. The 5 touching the court for Lynchburg. Izzy Lockamy inbounding to Theron Suggs. Then it's TC Thacker, Carrington Young, and Kevon James. The 5 on for Ferrum. Hunter Ladler defends the on ball. Now it's James Smith Jr. doing that. Joined by Michael Spraggins, Bryce Hall. And an offensive foul goes against Lockamy. Final Panther, for those wondering, is Jamar Butler. Take another look at it. Ladler knew it immediately. Less than 50 seconds to go. Long 2 for the lead. Touches the iron twice. Rebound Young. Lynchburg looking for a potential dagger. 13-second difference between shot and game clock, and a timeout called by Coach Scott. And this is a really precarious situation that Coach Scott finds himself in. This is an offense that has a lot of weapons, and they've seen a lot of different hot hands. Izzy Lockamy got the scoring going really in the second half, especially from three-point land. 3 threes all in the second set of 20. But TC Thacker, he's got a team best 15. Do you work it down low? Do you get it outside to players like Lockamy and James, who are always threats from the perimeter? Or do you go to your tried and true guy in crunch situations, Theron Suggs? 2 days ago, he just gave you the game winner in a Code Red game. A lot of options here for Coach Scott. If it's your decision, who are you giving the basketball to? No wrong answers.
That's a tough one. I got to go with Alex Finch.
Okay.
Because not only is he shooting it amazing from the three-pointer, but last game he was just so consistent. Like he led that charge to come back on the game in the game on Tuesday, and I think he's got a clutch gene in him.
We'll see if Fitch subs in. It also could be a play where the defense is gravitating towards a Thacker or a Suggs, and next thing you know, Fitch finds himself with too much space, and we've seen what he does if he has more than an inch of space to work with.
Can't leave him open.
32 seconds left, 19 seconds on the shot clock. Thank you again, everybody, for spending some time with us here on your Thursday night, watching LHSN. TJ Wingert alongside Thomas Murphy brought you the action all the way through. Now time for the final stanza. Thacker gets it into Suggs. 9 points on the night for the Raleigh, North Carolina native. Thacker gets the pass from Lockamy. Block is called.
That was a good call right there.
Spraggins was trying to get the offensive foul against Thacker. Instead, 10th whistle against Ferrum. Not only is Thacker headed to the free throw line, he's got a guaranteed 2 on the way. There's the foul once more. Thacker on the night, 11 of 16 from the free throw line, 2 for 3 from the floor. Not something I envision saying tonight.
He's getting his points, just not in the way that we are usually accustomed to.
Good players find ways.
Absolutely.
Suggs checking out. Miles Taylor subbing in. Especially in that zone trap defense, Taylor's played an integral role. He has a big frame, long arms. Tough to get passes up and around a 1-for-2 trip. Shot clock's turned off. Smith Jr. throws it away. Lockamy fouled in transition.
And great hands right there on the defense. Incredible.
Miscommunication. And to be honest, I'm not sure who the intended target for Smith Jr. was. But to your point, it was a missile sent right at Lockamy. He held on, and now he knocks down 2 free throws. He essentially, not for sure, but will bring this game's probability to near 100%, favoring Lynchburg. First one's through.
You know, going back to kind of what that pass was intended for, you think that maybe the cheerleaders' black outfits maybe play a part in kind of catching the corner of someone's eye to think that they're a Ferrum player?
1 for 2, a 3 to send it to overtime. That's what Ferrum needs. Smith Jr. pulls the trigger off the side of the iron. Lockamy fouled, 0.8 to play. Well, Ferrum was trying to get it into the hands of the player to watch. Ultimately, it doesn't work out for the Panthers. And all it takes now is one made free throw. 2-possession lead with less than a second left. That would elevate Lynchburg to 13-6 on the year, 7-3 in conference play. And there's your dagger. Lockamy now with 15 on the night. If he knocks down the second, he'll tie Thacker with a team best 16. Izzy Lockamy had 8 points on Tuesday against Hampton Sydney. In the 3 games preceding it, he was averaging 18 a contest. And he comes through in the second half with a couple threes, late free throws. And a big part of the reason why Lynchburg storms all the way back and picks up the 5-point win and does what I just said, elevate to 13-6 and 7-3 in conference play. Meanwhile, Ferrum lost number 9 in a row, number 14 in the last 15 games played. 5-15 on the year now, 0-11 in conference play. But from what the team I saw tonight, that's not the record I would have associated with them. They showed a ton of fight tonight.
Absolutely not. You know, this Ferrum team showed a lot of heart. The coaching game plan was always changing things throughout the game to keep them this close of a score. But overall, Lynchburg just has done it more times where they know exactly what to do. They know what to do late game situations, and they showed out tonight.
And meanwhile, on the other side, the adjustments were huge for Lynchburg. 2 for 15 shooting from three-point land in the first half. How about in the second half? Bump that up to 7 for 14. I'd say 50% sounds a whole lot better than the 13.3% we saw in the first half. And that's a huge difference in this contest. On top of that, Thacker had 5 points in the first half, finishes the game with 16. I'll go one step further. Izzy Lockamy in the first half, how about just 2 points? Finishes the game with 16. The offense woke up late, and that was the difference.
Better late than never.
That's exactly right. That's going to do it for us at Wayne Profit Court. Once again, final score, 73-68. Lynchburg comes back to knock off Ferrum. For my broadcast partner, Thomas Murphy, our director, George Diamond, my name is TJ Wingert. And until next time, we are signing off.